Hi guys, and welcome to episode 5 of Trains and Journeys Series 4, and today we're starting our journey from Crewe on the West Coast Main Line, which we're going to be doing our journey over the North Wales coastline to Holyhead. Now, I'll get onto the train in a minute, but we are going to be driving, so let's get yourself first.
TPWS and AWS operational.
Well, actually, I'll just get straight onto it. The train we're actually going to drive today is the Class 802 Nova. Now, you're probably wondering, wait a minute, that's used on Transpennine Express, right? Well, it's actually in grey livery. Okay, that's the first bit. Now, let me just get the doors open first. So our train unit is 802-205. Now the reason why I chose the 802 for this, because in the Grey TPE livery, or technically more like the livery it was before when it was on testing at the time, there's the car signal for us to go, was that it's the closest one I could get to a Class 805, which, as of I'm recording this, they're undergoing testing as we speak to replace the Class 221 Voyagers on the North Wales route. Now at present, on the Armstrong Powerhouse 803 pack, there is no 805s available. So this is the closest I can get to the Class 805s. So that's why I went with the 802-2. It's the only closest I can get available. Now you might ask yourself, well, why not go for the 175 then? Well, could have done. Trouble is though, they stop at pretty much at most stations on the route between Chester and Holyhead most of the time, although only occasional few services a day go from Crewe to Holyhead direct, which is in most cases done by Class 158. Just the right side, there was the Crewe Heritage Centre. That being north of Crewe. I've actually filmed at Crewe before. I actually filmed it back in when I was on my trip to Liverpool Merseyside area just under 2 months ago. Now if you're wondering what else is going to be changing at Avanti West Coast, well, it's not just the 805s, you're also going to get Class 807s as well. Now, just to clear up any bit of confusion, if you're wondering, so what are the 807s going to do? Well, firstly, they are electric only, just like the Class 801s. One slight difference with them is they're going to be 7-car sets. Yes, 7-car Class 807s instead of the 9-car 80 like it's 9-car 801s. Not sure why, but I'm sure. Well, okay, fair enough. So they're going to be doing the services that normally done on Avanti West Coast, but they'll be sharing with the Class 390s services to Bowman New Street, Blackpool North via Bowman New Street, which also goes beyond, also not Bowman New Street, obviously goes to Crewe. It also goes upwards towards like Prestatyn, and then heads to Blackpool North. And also it'll be doing services to Liverpool Lime Street. That's the end of the electric wire section. So now it's non-electrified from here for the rest of our journey to Holyhead. So if anybody's got any sense of alarm saying, oh no, the Class V90s are going to get replaced on Liverpool, Birmingham, Blackpool services, look, don't worry. They are not getting replaced. The only thing that's been done to the 390s as of this moment right now is they're getting a midlife refurbishment. So we've got about another 20 years of life still to go on the West Coast main line. Now on the refurbishment programme, just to point out one other thing, that for starters they're doing the Dash 1s, which is, if you're a little confused what the difference between the 390-0s and 390-1s, the 390-1s are 11 cars, the Dash 0s are 9 cars. So at the moment they're doing all the Dash 1s first, and once all the Dash 1s are completely refurbished, then Euston will pay attention to the Dash 0s, which probably will take less time. So anyway, let's talk about the route in question that I'm driving today. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm over speeding a little bit. Well, on this episode, I'm probably one of two. I'm going to be experimenting with the line speed, especially the line top speed. So the top speed, based on a couple of test runs I've done this route, is 90 miles an hour for top speed on the North Wales coastline. But after doing a couple of test runs, I'm wondering, could you actually get that up to 100 miles an hour? I think personally 90 miles an hour is alright if you've got a DMU like a 158, but if you want something like, I don't know, the present 221 or in the future Class 805, you might as well update it to 100 miles an hour. It will save a lot on the journey times. Not sure why it's limited to 90 miles an hour top speed for the whole line. Probably it's because the signalling system perhaps maybe might explain a few things. Now I know some of it is still semaphore. Who knows? Who knows? I did one test run before recording this that I could do the journey time in around 1 hour 35 minutes. However, the only slight catch is Chester. In real life, if we're stopping at Chester, the train itself on average would be in the station for something around 8 to 9 minutes. In normal operation, most of the time, it sits normally consistent of 10 cars as far as Chester. The front set continues on to Holyhead, whilst the rear set detaches and terminates at Chester. So anyway, so our calling pattern today on our service. So we'll be calling at Chester, Flint, Prestatyn, Rhyl, Colwyn Bay, Llandudno Junction, Bangor and Holyhead would be our final stop on today's route. I have to say, when I was going through this, looking up on the actual route itself, I do admit with some of the Welsh station names, I do admit I've had a bit of a struggle trying to pronounce them correctly. Now, if I don't pronounce them correctly, I can only apologise. But, you know, I have to say though, that learning a lot of Welsh station names is going to take quite a bit of time for me to learn. To be really honest. There goes class 175, just went by. As I said earlier, the fact is you only get a few services a day that go direct from Crewe to Holyhead. Most of the times you're getting trains, say, going from places like Manchester to Holyhead. They go via the Mid-Cheshire line, and also the other services from Cardiff Central. They come up via the Welsh March line via places such as Wrexham General and Shrewsbury, as well as also other places like Hereford and Abergavenny. In real life, the only part of the route I've actually been on was the section 9 from Chester to Crewe. And unusually enough, it was actually a pair of 153s, although that won't be for too much longer, because eventually that will be replaced at some point by the class 197, which are slowly starting to roll out on transport rails as we speak. Now recently there's been an option that could be explored, is what if let's say the line itself was to be electrified? Well, I hate to break the bad news to you, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Well, one, it's very costly, but mostly it's going to need a lot of infrastructure updates to it. So the semaphore signal will have to be replaced with modern LED signalling. Probably the likely place, if they were to do that, they probably will have to put a control centre somewhere, either Chester or Crewe itself, one of the two. Also, a lot of the bridges the line passes under, they will either have to be raised, or the track will have to be lowered by a few feet. Another problem is when you get to Chester. Chester, I've only been there once, and the things today I have to say is At first it is quite confusing, but once you get the hang of spotting there, eventually you just have to work around it. I mean, I've been to a lot of stations where some routes have been very difficult to get on top of, but sometimes you just have to learn as you go. Anyway, I'm about to start slowing down pretty soon. It's about to approach our first stop at Chester. So we're just about to approach Chester. Line to our right is the Mid Cheshire line. That runs from here to for trains for services, mainly northern services to Manchester and Leeds. It's also served by services that go, and also I think it goes via Warrington Banky. Might be wrong. And also you've got Transport for Wales services, which is once every 2 hours, that go to, nowadays, obviously Liverpool Lime Street via Runcorn. So Chester. Now, just a bit of a fact for you. If you notice the bay platforms 5 and 6, if you're wondering where's the shed roof it goes over, there's a section that missing. Reason for that? Well, yeah, there was a bit of an accident took place over 50 years ago in 1972, when one train unfortunately hit a stationary diesel train, and unfortunately the freighter was carrying wagons that was full of kerosene. And unfortunately, what happened next created a huge fire. Fortunately, there were no fatalities, but the damage to the station was quite bad. It took a section of the station roof down. So here we are at Chester. Now normally in real life we would be waiting for about 8 minutes on the platform, but in this case we're not going to be waiting 8 minutes. Yeah, just to finish up on the point about the bay platforms, that since that accident in 1972, when ironically it was Chester General at the time, although the general suffix was gradually dropped, that they never replaced that section of roof. If you're not familiar with the layout at Chester, at platform 3R is one of the 3 platforms. Platforms 1 and 2 are 2 bay platforms. 5 and 6 are used mixture of bay platforms for transfer for Wales from Liverpool Lime Street, 5 on-call, northern services, and also platform 7 can also be a through platform, which is mostly used by Merseyrail services that terminate on the Rhyl lines from Liverpool Central. Although Liverpool Central on the Rhyl lines is actually on the Liverpool Loop line, which starts at just before James Street. It goes onto a loop, then it's one platform for Moorfields, Liverpool Lime Street, Liverpool Central, and then it joins back on the heading back to James Street, although just before James Street in the other direction towards Chester or places like West Kirby, New Brighton, and one other destination that follows the same route as the Chester services as far as Houghton, Ellesmere Port. It then joins up with a line that connects up to the Merseyrail's Northern line just before Liverpool Central, which is only used for stock movements from Birkenhead North Depot. Although once the Class 77s take over fully on the Merseyrail, although they are slowly taking over as we speak right now, then Kirkdale will become the main depot, while Birkenhead North will become a stabling depot. But on the subject of electrification, if electrification were to go to Chester, the station would have to be significantly rebuilt and remodelled. Anyway, just to our left is Chester Racecourse. We're on the I think it's called the Rodey Viaduct. Yeah, the Rodey Viaduct. Also after Northgate Tunnel, we passed under, we crossed over the Shropshire Union Canal. The line to our left, that's the line that goes towards Shrewsbury and diverges to the left. And actually just we also crossed over before the junction the River Dee over the Dee Bridge. And well, there's somewhere along here before our next stop at Flint is we cross into Wales, North Wales. Just about to pass through Shotton low level. We also interchange with the high level platforms, which are served by the Borderlands line. The Borderlands line, which runs from Bidston to Wrexham General. By the way, the Bidston is actually on the Motorwell's Rural Line branch towards West Kirby. Don't think it'll be too long before we've got to start slowing down for our next stop at Flint. We'll start slowing down into our next stop at Flint. So here we are at Flint. I wonder what the station would look like in real life. I think the game actually looks quite pretty. So after a quick stop at Flint, our next stop will be at, I hope I pronounced this right, Prestatyn? I hope I pronounced that correct. I have to wonder what this route would be like in real life. I mean, there's been some scenic routes I've actually been on that are quite nice. Some rail lines that I've been on come to mind. Some like the section line from Teignmouth to through Dawlish, being one of them, alongside the Dawlish seawall, of course. Especially after north of Dawlish, excuse me. Another section line, I would say another branch line that comes to mind. Seaford branch, I did that last year on a 313. As I'm recording this, sadly the 313's time is pretty much done on Southern and pretty much on the UK road network. But no real shame though, the fact is, alive for nearly 47 years. It is worth it at the end of the day, but unfortunately, like many things, that the era had to come to an end at some point. So where the track widens out a bit, that must have been inside another island platform, called another station I think called Bagliffe, or excuse me, not it's called Baggilt, which closed in 1976. Why did I say Bagliffe? That was very not a very good idea to say that. No, it's Baggilt, which is spelled as Bagillt. Baggilt. Also about to come up to London Junction, which actually used to be a junction for the former Holywell branch line, which closed unfortunately in 1954. And part of the reason it got closed is because of the competition of road transport at the time. The station actually stayed in use, however, and then for about another 12 years, for almost 12 years, until it closed in February 1966. Well, actually just the station we passed, where the signal box was. The other problem is with the idea of electrifying the line to Holyhead is it's not practical in some parts. I mean, a lot of the line would have to be there has to be a lot of line upgrades, speed upgrades, track realignment. The 7/4 signalling system will have to be removed. I suppose another signal box. And now we're alongside the D estuary. Sorry, scrap that. Actually, we're alongside the Irish Sea. Just about to come past another former closed station called I better pronounce this right. Tal Acre, which opened in May 1903 and closed in February 1966. Very soon we've got to start slowing down for our next stop at Prestatyn. I'm not sure how you pronounce the station name, but again, if I get some of the station names pronunciations incorrect, then I can only apologise for that. We braked a little too hard there, but never mind. So here we are at the island platform of Prestatyn. I would say it's a very nice wide island platform. So next stop on our service will be Rhyl, or Rhyl, I think it's Rhyl. So we are about to arrive into Rhyl. So here we are at Rhyl. So next up on our service will be Colwyn Bay. Also between here and our next stop at Colwyn Bay, is we pass through the stop called Abergele and Penzance, which is served by Transport for Wales services. Passing through the Plymouth Tunnel. Not far from our next station at Colwyn Bay. So here at Colwyn Bay, or as the Welsh sign says above, is Bar Colwyn. Colwyn. I have to say though, with the station names in Wales, I'm going to have to learn quite a lot of those in the future. So anyway, our next stop is going to be on our service from heading to Holyhead is Llandudno Junction, which is also going to be the branch line for the Colwyn Bay line, as well as also the Llandudno branch by Way. Just found out what the road that's running alongside is, the A55 road, or known as the North Wales Expressway. It actually runs all the way from Chester all the way to Holyhead. Rather surprisingly. Got to start slowing down into our next stop at Llandudno. So here we're at Llandudno, which is the Llandudno Junction, which is the junction for the branch to Llandudno, as well as also the branch line via the Colwyn Bay line. Which actually, ironically, is part of the connection line to Llandudno. As you can see, 175 just pulled up. That'll be from Llandudno. I have to say though, even despite the view, it's really hard for me to pronounce these Welsh names. Nothing wrong with it, it's just, but you know, I've got to learn. I've got to definitely spend some time outside, doing some journeys and other things to learn Welsh names. So there's the branch line to Llandudno, diverge to the right. Now upon exit, we've got a 45 mile an hour through Crewe, which passes also a very unusual bridge, which passes Crewe Castle. Which passes over the River Conway. I wonder who idea it was at the time when the sign was built to come up with an idea to use part of the route to go via a former castle. I have to say, whoever came up with it was a very smart idea. So our next stop after this is going to be at Bangor. But to pass underneath the Permanback Tunnel, or Permanback Tunnel. See how fast we can get through this. Real life is 55 miles an hour. It's 80 miles an hour. as that brings us alongside the coastline. As I kind of mentioned, in fact, is in real life, this has to be probably one of the most spectacular views for anybody to experience on any rail line. Anyway, we're just about to pass through Pimamia. Passing underneath the Penny Clip Avalanche Tunnel. Passing through Llanfyfychan. passing through Llandudno Tunnel, and then we've got Bangor Tunnel, which we've got a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit into the platform. We've got to start slowing down pretty much about, I'd say, once the AWS warning system goes off. Which ironically, the tunnel of Bangor Tunnel actually goes underneath Bangor Mountain. So we are arriving into Bangor Gwynedd. So here we are at Bangor, with its two platform layout. You also got the through lines. I wonder if they're used by occasional freight. Might be wrong. But anyway, got one more stop to go on our journey, which is where we're terminating today, which is Holyhead. Just found out something unusual with the 802s. To activate the door central locking system, it doesn't effectively activate until you pass 15 miles an hour, which is rather strange. Because normally in real life, if I'm right, it normally activates once you pass like 10 miles an hour. Maybe it's just different times, like different speeds. So when the train's on the move, it activates at about 15 miles an hour. When the train comes to a stop, it only activates if you're below 5 miles an hour. Now about to enter the single track section, which is the only part of the line that's single track. So this time I have to abide to the 40-mile-an-hour speed limit, which we don't use a tight curve on here, but it also takes us over a pretty famous bridge. And it's not just any bridge, by the way. As you see, the A5 passes over us as we go over the of all bridges, the Britannia Bridge, which crosses over the Menai Strait. Well, certainly you can't double the line on here. It's just not practical unless you redesign the road bridge at either end, but it's not practically possible. Then we accelerate to back up to 100 miles an hour for the last time in our journey. It's actually the longest bit of our journey without stopping. Just passing through Llandudno. just about to come up to Voyagers, which is actually a request stop for transfer for Wales. Also, worth mentioning, between Llandudno and Voyagers, there was another stop called Crewe, which closed in 1966 for passengers, 1984 for goods. It also was a junction to another former rail line called the Anglesey Central Railway, which got closed down in 1964. Freight did continue until 1993. There was a study commissioned by Network Rail to see if the line could be reinstated. That was back in 2011. But even so, 12 years later, still nothing's come to fruition, quite sadly. But to pass through another quest stop called Cross. The next station name is going to be very hard to pronounce. I'll give this a try. I think it's called Rosneg? Or Rosneg? It's very hard to pronounce. So, like I said, if I get it wrong, I do apologise. Just over 5 miles to go. We've got one more stop before Holyhead, which is Valley. That'll be the last stop to pass through before the final approach to Holyhead. And there's the A55, comes alongside us for the last time. Going to start slowing down in a minute for a 15-mile-an-hour approach into Holyhead. So we had a 15-mile-an-hour. We got the route indicator into platform 2 at Holyhead. So at Holyhead you change for connecting ferry services. At the nearby Port of Holyhead ferry terminal. The services, ferry services to Dublin. So there we are. Anyway guys, that'll do it for another video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, share the video, and I'll do the best I can to put as more content up as soon as possible. So thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next video, see you next time. Bye guys.